What's up, good people? My name is AJ. I am an associate at a private wealth management firm and a CFA charter holder. And today I'm talking about the ways that I see kind of the entry level positions to the wealth management industry, how they're broken down, what each one of them looks like, and how you might think about getting into the wealth management industry if you're interested. So I'm going to talk specifically about the types of roles you could serve in a wealth management firm. These can differ depending on the type of business unit you're in. So I think of the business units as kind of like a wirehouse group, maybe a family office, an RIA. Then there's like the old school broker, like mutual fund or stockbroker guys. And each of these three roles that I'll talk about might plug into those different business units, but they wouldn't all work the same way. So that might be a different topic, but you would want to make the decision about what specifically type of business model you'd like to be operating in. And then these three roles are the avenues that you might try to go through to, again, get your foot in the door into those businesses. But typically out of college, you don't have any financial industry licensing, like the Series 7. And so you have to start off in a position if you want to be a financial advisor in the future or a wealth management associate or whatever else you might want to call that title. You have to start off in one of these roles, at least initially, to get licensed because you have to have a company to sponsor you for the Series 7. And these are also the best positions to get the most experience and information about the wealth management industry to make sure you like it and also learn about the role for your future client facing activities. The first one that I'll talk about is what I'll call a planning assistant, financial planning assistant, maybe just assistant. And in the title, of course, this would only be a role that's going to be available in a firm that does financial planning. So I'm thinking of um, independents or wirehouse franchisees or RIAs that do financial planning. And again, this isn't too much related to the investment arm of that business, but it's core business activity around developing financial plans for families, businesses, individuals. As a planning assistant, basically, what you can either apply for this job or, look for financial planning firms in the area or areas that you might want to work and just start networking to those people, LinkedIn, emails, phone calls, whatever. The planning assistant role is one in which you're primarily developing financial plans, making changes to financial plans, and uploading those documents for the financial advisors to have on hand when they go into meetings with their clients. Now, I know some very successful financial advisors who started through this channel. They were originally planning assistants. They became experts in the software that their firm was using to develop the financial plans and really became the go-to person when any questions came up from the advisors about changes to the financial plans or why certain numbers were projected out certain ways. This person really got a great understanding around the financial planning software and building those financial plans and kind of became indispensable, became very valuable to the firm. Eventually got to the position that this person wanted to be in, which was a partnered advisor in the firm, and is really a financial planning expert at the firm now. But again, starting off in the planning assistant position. If you are someone looking for the CFP, or you always want to, you're certain that you want to be working in financial planning, or maybe I should say, considering that you might want to work in the financial planning industry, starting off as a planning assistant in one of the firms that I mentioned earlier could be the ideal position for you. You're going to get some investment information through those financial plans when you're looking at, the types of accounts that people are using, or return projections, or kind of like some tax account type planning. So there'll be a little bit of exposure to investment related information. Of course, the CFP, has a lot on that topic too. But more specifically, you're talking about financial planning type topics. So if you're unfamiliar with them, it would be things like insurance planning, estate planning, tax planning. You know, what should I do for my kids' college expenses that are coming up? How much can my parents gift to me? How much do I need to keep in my savings account? How much should I be putting into my 401k? Should I use a Roth IRA? All the questions that come up in regular individuals, some businesses, some families' lives around their own finances, a lot of that, depending on what financial planning software you use, can be answered or modeled out within the software. And so that's what the financial planning assistant needs to understand how to do and present to the advisor or the client directly. So again, number one was financial planning assistant. I'll also mention too that I want each of these three positions to be realistic, positions that I think companies actually hire for. I'm not saying um, like wealth management expert or some title that doesn't actually exist anywhere. So I will say that there are definitely jobs out there for these planning assistant type positions that you could use to get your foot in the door into the wealth management industry. Number two is going to be a client service position. So this is the channel that I came up through in my wealth management firm where I still work, and I'm probably biased, but I think it would be the best option because it's going to give you insight into just about every aspect of a wealth management firm and which individuals are doing what type of work, how do recommendations go from advisor to client, and in a whole swath of different information channels. You're going to see firsthand how those all work and how the end decisions get made within the firm. The titles for these roles can differ, and to my earlier point with the financial planning assistant position, that one has to be within a firm that actually does financial planning. This client service position could be through any of those business units that I mentioned at the start of the video. So a wirehouse, a old school mutual fund or stock broker, or a bigger RIA, financial planning group, or a trust company, anything like that, family office. They are all going to have a need for client service type positions. So this also is the position that might be most widely available when you're looking for spots to get into the wealth management industry. My job title starting off was client service specialist. So basically the type of work I did was fielding a lot of emails from clients, not directly addressed to me, some would be, but mostly towards other advisors in the firm with tasks that the clients needed done. Hey, send me 20 grand from my trust account, or hey, I want to update the beneficiary of my IRA, or whatever it might be. The advisors then forward those more maybe remedial type tasks over to the client service person, and you get back with the client and let them know, hey, this will be done in 3 days. I'm AJ. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. Within the firm I work, the primary two responsibilities of the client service position are prep and what I would call follow-up. So prep meaning meeting preparation. Before clients come into meetings with their financial advisor, there are a different order of things that need to get completed in about a week beforehand, related to that client's accounts, their financial plan, and what type of conversation the advisor is going to have with that client in that meeting that's upcoming. There are certain documents that we gather, put in a meeting folder, again, all about a week beforehand, so that the advisor has everything that they need when that client gets into the office. And then the follow-up tasks are, the other half of the other side of the meeting process, which is after the client leaves the office, the advisor's written all their notes. They have all the things that need to happen. If they're trades, there's other things that have to happen that day. And if they're future tasks, a client service person might receive that folder after the meeting, note down everything that the advisor talked about with the client, possibly type up the summary letter that's going to get mailed out to that client, and basically carry out all the tasks that the advisor told the client needs to happen. Those three job duties that I mentioned are really why I think the client service position is the best way to gain experience in the wealth management industry. And again, and also maybe the best way to get your foot in the door, just because there's such a high need for this type of position. But with those three job duties, again, it was meeting prep, meeting follow-up, and then processing of client requests, either via email or phone call to the advisors. Number one, you're seeing everything that the financial advisors do firsthand. So if you want to be a financial advisor later in your career after you're licensed and everything like that, this is a perfect spot to start. And this is exactly what I did. But also, if you want to get to any position inside a wealth management firm, compliance or an associate or an investment related position like I'm in, then doing the client service role lets you see who's doing what jobs in the firm again, and also how information moves through the firm when something has to get done. Who does the client tell that? Who does this person tell it to get done? How does it get completed? How does the client get their end result? You really see the flow of the practice. There are very few processes that you would be unclear on if you were in a client service position within a firm for 2 or 3 years. The last kind of entry level position that I would list in the wealth management industry would be analyst. Now, not every business unit in that industry is going to have an analyst. Specifically, if if you're talking about like an Ed Jones advisor who might be an old school mutual fund broker or stockbroker, and he's just himself and a secretary in an office, that person's not going to have any need for an investment analyst. But any RAA, bigger wirehouse group, or family office, trust office, things like that, they're all going to have investment analysts that work on behalf of the clients in making investment allocation decisions. This one's probably the least universal for people watching this video who might want to get into the wealth management industry. Now, if you know that you want to be specifically investment focused and maybe considering the CFA charter like I did, and potentially would leave the wealth management industry later to do more specifically focused asset management or investment management, then the analyst position at a wealth management firm might be a good fit for you. But people who are unsure on this industry or kind of just want to get a foot in the door, maybe don't have any college, maybe their college degree wasn't in finance or they don't have any other industry experience, they're probably going to not start off in an analyst position. It's something where you would need more background on, more educational qualifications. So I don't want to discount an analyst role. This is a good or a great entry level role into a wealth management position, but it's not going to be the one that's utilized by the most people. So, as an analyst at a wealth management group, you'd be doing things like looking at potential additions to the firm's approved or recommended investment list, whether that's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or ETFs. I work mostly with mutual funds and ETFs, um, weighing the pros and cons of making changes to that firm's investment models, conducting meetings with outside salespeople from those various product categories, ETFs and mutual funds most specifically, some CDs, things like that. Doing performance measurement of the firm's models or the benchmark or attribution reports of which positions inside of the firm's investment models are attributing more to clients' return and which are attributing more or less to clients' risk, and doing internal reports around those risk return characteristics, other reporting surrounding investment performance. It's a more technical position. Again, I talked about it earlier, it's probably a harder one to get off the bat, but a great starting point or springboard if you are thinking about getting into the mutual fund, hedge fund industry, might want to pursue a CFA charter, and depending on the firm that you go with, could really be a position that carries a lot of prestige with it as well. So again, all three good entry-level positions in the wealth management industry. These are all things that you could do this SIE exam beforehand, and then potentially have the firm sponsor you to do the Series 7 if you're someone who wants to become a licensed financial advisor in the future. But you do have to start in one of these roles or a role similar to one of these roles before doing the Series 7 because you have to be sponsored by a firm to take that test. So these are all the spots that I would point anyone asking me about getting into the wealth management industry towards. I hope the information is helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have thoughts, if you disagree with these, or if you'd add any types of positions to the um, entry level category in a wealth management firm. And appreciate you guys watching the video. Have a good one.